Welcome to UVTV, motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Me and Nick Fella and today I'm gonna be talking about today is gonna be UV Esoteric Bible study and me talking about the Book of Kings and the Judgment of Solomon. Now, just in general, right, when it comes to the Bible, we already know the Bible is like the sacred holy book when it comes to Christians and stuff like that, and the Jews and the Hebrews and stuff like that, with people who believe in Jesus, Jesuit Christ. Now, just in general, right, because I'm not even going to go into detail about the actual nuance and essence and reality of where that should be coming from. But when it comes to Christianity, we all know it's monotheism. So they look at God in one way. So they look at God like a deity. So for them looking at God like a deity, when it comes to their deity and the thing they want to give idol worship, it's just that representation of how they look at all possibilities. Because God is really all possibilities, all of creation, the universe. But they want to deify it and make it like some adultery of a specific way of how it want to be seen. So when it comes to Christians and them believing in Christianity, when it comes to Muslims and them believing in Islam, when it comes to Jews and them believing in Judaism, it's part of monotheism. Now, monotheism is like a monoculture. So from it being a monoculture, they want to see things in one way based upon absolute total control, total, what they call that shit? Totalitarianism or some shit like that. Basically, it's kind of like a dictatorship. It's kind of like, oh, they look at being spiritual in one way. That's why religion is just a real legion, and it's just a revitalized legion of people who actually had spiritual practices or a culture, and them trying to revitalize it and capitalize off of it for a monetary gain in some way, shape, and form, without actually going too deep in it. But that's the essence of where that should be coming from. So this in general, it's not to say there's not spiritual things within it. Spirit as in your space, creativity, right? So it's not to say there isn't creativity or imagination within it, based upon the allegories, based upon the rhetorical things they be saying in the Bible. It's not literal, not something that's happening in history. It's just the mystery behind the history. It's the mysticism. So there is some substance and essence behind it. It's just utilized in a way based upon the papacy, for the most part. It's done in a way based upon the Vatican or whatever. Look at that as them trying to run a business. They're just using their business as a religious property. Look at that as them trying to make a business off of spirituality. And that's the simplest way of how you can put it. That's the simplest way of how you can put it. Right? It's the same thing when it comes to entertainment. It's the same thing when it comes to politicians. It's the same thing when it comes to the education system. It's just them trying to make a system that's funded and running and people buying into it. And they made a specific version of that to buy into. And it leads to what it is in the 21st century of you're going to go to hell if you don't believe in Jesus, Jesuit Christ, because he died for our sins and stuff like that. AKA they tried to make the new world what they make it based upon the New Testament. And if you ain't trying to go with the new world, aka what's going on in America, then they gonna crucify your bitch ass. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Without going that deep into it. But it's really just that. But overall, right, the actual essence of what that is it's talking about internal energies. So it's talking about things of the mind. So it's kind of like super metaphysical or super spiritual. So it's talking about things of the mind, and they just try to frame it in a way like this is something that happened based upon history and reality. But it's just them showing what they did when it comes to like the mentality they was in when they did it in reality. But they trying to make it look like some like Marvel versus Capcom story. You know what I'm saying? Like some X-Men story, right? To make it look like, oh, motherfuckers was actually doing this in reality. But it's really just things of the mind to make it look like some cold ass story, like this is Cyberpunk 2099 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get really invested into the story of what that is, you could see something being like that, like watching Spider-Man Brand New Day or something like that. We know there ain't no actual Spider-Man, but it's just things of the mind. Oh, a man actually acting like the characteristics of a spider, and him being superhero, supernatural, superhuman and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the Bible and it being super allegorical, not literal, it's just being really metaphorical of different states of beings and mind states based upon thoughts and feelings, and bringing life and sentience into that. And they try to take things that are make-believe and make you believe in it. And from you basically believing in it and you giving your confidence and your faith towards it, that's the thing that's going to make it more powerful. So it's like a teamwork make the dream work, each one teach one type of energy. So we make the world, not no thing where it's like some man in the sky dictating all of our actions and stuff like that. No, we dictate where it's gonna go and how far we're gonna go with that intelligence and that's it. And it's either you're relatable and you in sync and you actually try to be a part of life, or you just ain't. And then that's it. And you can get caught up into different divinations of different people's creations out of life, instead of trying to understand your own divine nature, so people can buy into your imagination and your creativity and believe in you just in general. So from you believing in yourself is going to make other people want to believe in you, because you're doing something of the mind. So you're doing something that's inspiring, and it's going to make other people want to get more creative, or get more intelligent, or have more wisdom, or have more talent and creativity to show and share, and things of that nature. So that's why it'd be important to find God. Look at finding God as finding the universe, finding all possibilities, finding your state of being. And then your independent state of being, your individual state of being is just your soul, your independent space and your spaceship flying around in the astral realm. And then that's it. So in general, right, from you expanding your horizons when it comes to your spirit, you're just expanding your capabilities and your talents and your natural talents and gifts, and you're observing your experiences and you put them to the test. So you went through some shit so people can see your spiritual testimony and see how strong your spirit is, and you using that as a mental flex. And if you strong spiritually, it's going to make you strong mentally, which is going to make you strong physically when it comes to your organs and functioning right, and then you end up lasting and living longer or having more experiences than other people. And then that's it. It's just, if you able to make something that's creative, if you creative enough, it's going to make people interested into what you're doing. From you shining your own light based upon attention, and from you gaining attention is going to lead to attraction. Attraction is just drawing attention. So from you drawing attention, people are going to be able to take from what you're giving out. So people are going to buy into what you're selling for the most part. So if you can make people buy into what you're selling at a high magnitude based upon your creativity, it's showing you working with God all possibility, because y'all looking at God like the ultimate creator. God want you to be like it want you to be a creator. It want you to show your intellectual property. It want you to show your talents and gifts and stuff like that. It want you to show your observations and your experiences. It want you to do that. So from you acting like God go fuck with you more than somebody else, and that's how you get God's grace. From you actualizing your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, your imaginations and your dreams, and going through the full process and mechanism of doing what it takes to get there. And then that's it. So it's just, from you finding God, you end up finding all possibilities. So you're going to find a potential. You're going to find a way to actualize. You're going to find to germinate that seed and take care of it and make it go through a spring, summer, fall, and winter. The winter time would be you going through the harshness of reality, even when things are cold, dead, and distant, because that's when things are snowed in. That's when people start to be indoors and people have to get bundled up to stay passionate, stay enticed. So you was able to recreate the spring and summertime even when it's wintertime. So you able to still keep going for your passions in some type of magnitude, and you can still be warmed and heated up, or you can still be passionate or be in a high temperament, even though we're going through a low temperature energy at the moment. So fall and wintertime. So you able to go through the full mechanism, so you able to have that safety, stability, security, and shelter, even when it's cold, dead, and distant, even when people don't give a fuck about you, even when, you know what I'm saying? Even when people act distant or cold towards you. Because when someone starts acting cold, they start acting lifeless. They're not trying to be compassionate. They're not trying to be friendly. They're not trying to, you know what I'm saying, buy into what the fuck you got going on. But from you keep on going and you able to be secure in yourself, even, like, you know what I'm saying, like you able to basically stay passionate. You able to stay high temperament. You able to stay hot, spicy, refreshing, new. Even when we actually going through that on a micro scale when it comes to fall and winter, but you're able to act like that on a micro scale as well, and know how to play out that mechanism in a holy mechanism, like in the internal realm, and it is going to result in the external realm. So that's when it leads to energies of being recreational or being a humanitarian and stuff like that. AKA look at that as like Capricorn through Pisces. Capricorn, your status, your position, your career, how you seen and broadcasted. Aquarius, your associates, your networking, and your broad public persona. Pisces, you able to go after your imaginations and your dreams and making a part of the collective conscious, and all that is wintertime type of energy. From the cardinal, from the mutable, from the cardinal, from the fixed, and from the mutable. The cardinal portion of wintertime, Capricorn. The fixated portion of wintertime, which is Aquarius, and then the mutable portion of wintertime, which is Pisces. You know what I'm saying? So earth, air, and water. But the, you know what I'm saying, the different modalities and the different elements. But y'all get what the fuck I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to put y'all in the sentiment to build y'all up so y'all understand what the fuck I'm going to talk about when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, like King Solomon and you know what I'm saying, the Judgment of Solomon and the Book of Kings. So it's not about being childish. It's just you being youthful. It's you being childlike, spiritually speaking. So the two women, the two emotions and feelings had a child, right? And then when the children died throughout the night time. You know what I'm saying? So they consulted Solomon, the king, to handle the dispute. So they looking for a better thought and idea, judgment, based upon the rulership, the governing mentality. What direction are we going to take this emotion and feeling? Because it's about thoughts and ideas becoming emotion and feelings. It's about the men creating and building a circumstance that the woman can take care of and try to, you know what I'm saying, uphold the household, so to speak. So that's when it leads to the patriarchy type of stuff, where it leads into, oh, the men got to provide and protect and stuff, and then the woman got to take care of the household and be a housewife or whatever, or take care of the children and try to hold some type of responsibility up. And then the nigga or the man is going to try to create and build more, and he end up going outside to go do that. And then the woman stay inside and stay in the house and take care of all the different responsibilities the man can't take care of, so to speak, so it can be maintained, so you can turn a household into a home. And then that's it. So in general, right? So it's like them making a womb. It's them making a comfort zone. It's them holding on to something long enough to make it go through its fullest maturity. And we see that in reality all the time when women get pregnant. That's why women are more mature when it comes to upholding the last legs of something, but not mature mentally speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like they still be having bad starting points because they don't understand their masculine side. They don't understand having better logical intelligence. And then men are trying to understand how to have more emotional intelligence. So women are better at emotional intelligence to turn that thought and idea into an emotion and feeling, so you feel so you can feel some way about it, so you can contain it like a womb, right? And then niggas, they know how to be more free-spirited. They know how to not care about something, but they don't know how to uphold something for a long period of time. So that's what they're learning. So when a man is too masculine, that's why it leads to deadbeat dad type of energies. And then when a female is too emotional, it just leads to her being needy and bitchy, like a female dog. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because she keep on giving her power away instead of trying to understand the starting point. She should, you have to learn how to just let some things go and not care about it as much and stop holding on to it so much. Type shit. You know what I'm saying? So you can come up with a better idea so you can take care of it even better. You know what I'm saying? That's like you doing the same expression, the same thing over and over, and then expecting a different result. You're going to drive yourself crazy. No, you need to come up with another better idea so it can lead to a better fulfillment, a more heightened emotion. And then you go through the process all over again. But it always starts based upon the spark, the seed, the thought and idea that basically becomes a womb, a feeling, an emotion, something you can receive to feel good. And then you come up with another idea. And then that's it. So it's expansion, contraction. Expansion would be you trying to push the boundary with something until it becomes contained. And then once it becomes contained, you're going to try to find another way to expound it. But for it to get contained, you have to take care of it based upon what you just expanded out of, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you expanded out of, you're going to contain into something else. And then you have to expand out of it again so it can contain into something else again. You get what I'm saying? It's like a mechanism. It's like a process. But the two women, the two emotions and feelings are looking for direction when it comes to that first spark, that first thought, that first intention. You know what I'm saying? That's why I keep on saying attention span and awareness, that first intent. So they're looking for the kingship, the governing mentality of how we going to direct this now. You know what I'm saying? How are we going to take care of the motherland? Let's look at the atmosphere. Let's look at the sky. Let's look at the world at most, right? So the man, King Solomon was sitting there all like, okay, let's split the baby in half. So now none of y'all got a kid. The first woman looked at it as fair. The second woman was like, but what about the baby though? The baby got to live. The seed, the spark, the idea, the inner child, the youthful energy, it has to, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's always be some protect the women and children. That's why it be so important to protect your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. It's important to protect your imagination because that's your magic. You know what I'm saying? It's your magic nation. But in general, right? The second woman was sitting there all like, ain't you gonna protect the child? The fuck? Like you just like, so it's just damn, like we both just ain't gonna have no child then. We both gonna be fucking widows and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we both gonna go through abortion, so to speak. type shit. But it's really King Solomon dealing with a certain emotion and feeling, right? It's like that king first intent mentality, right? That's like you having a thought and idea about something, and then it's starting to become an emotion and feeling, and you have two different desires that you're trying to uphold, but you can't pick one. So from you having two different desires, two different emotions and feelings, two different contractions, two different motherly energies, right, of how to uphold something, it's like you see the thought and idea, the direction of where it could go, but it's like you're dual-minded, you're dual-sided. Oh, it can go this way, it can go this way. One of the women wanted to kill the baby and cut it in half so none of them have kids. And then the other one was like, preserve the life of the baby. And then he looked at one of the desires, one of the woman as selfish, and one of the desires, one of the woman as selfless. One emotion was self-serving. And then the other emotion was selfless. So it was talking about the ego in general. So it's either you're going to do something that's self-serving or you're doing something to be of service. He thought it was more wise to preserve the child. I mean, the woman who wanted to preserve the child and gave it to her and she can have the kid because she thought more selfless. So she went through more of an ego death, even though your ego ain't really dying, but is you not trying to emanate all the time. Basically, it's like you not trying to be the walking example. Sometimes you let other people shine their light, and then you can be the spectator cheering them on in the background instead of you being the walking performer and you setting up the stage. Sometimes other people got to set up the stage, and you have to think about other people and not just think about yourself all the time. So that was the more wise decision, to preserve that seed. Look at that as you preserving that dream and imagination, that passion that you want to accomplish. And for that thing to be preserved, you rather protect it than just getting rid of it based upon you trying to pick over two desires. So it was like an emotion and feeling that was really selfish of you not giving a fuck about the child at all, giving a fuck about your passion and motivations, that dream, compared to one where you actually did give a fuck about it. So you're like, well, what's it called? We'll just give it to the other one then, type shit. You know what I'm saying? Try to preserve it. Don't just kill it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just get rid of it. Don't just give a fuck about it. Nah, give a fuck about that seed. You can actualize the potential of that. And that's all the King and Solomon story is really talking about. So it's like the judgment of your ego. So from you having that wise judgment, you listen to the wise men and women of your ego, is gonna make it so you have better decision making when it comes to your desires. Your desires being that feeling and emotion that you're trying to uphold in the direction you want to go, so it can go the distance, so that seed can actually fully mature and become a man or woman, because they didn't even say the gender of the child. But you get what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. It can become an actual man and woman and actually fully mature, so it can live a life on its own, and you was able to bring somebody up, and you was able to parent it in general. And that's all the King of Solomon, the Judgment of Solomon story is talking about, all the way down to the King of Kings. That's really what all the different stories about the different government, the governing mentalities, rulership is talking about. It's talking about that. It's talking about how to govern something in the right mentality, from as above so below perspective. It happening on a micro scale, and then it happening on a micro scale of your individual way of how you go about it. It's just they talk about it in the Bible in a Jewish, Hebrew, Israelite type of way, but that's basically all it's talking about. So that's what made the people of Israel respect that governing, that kingship, that rulership, that mentality of a good way to direct that, a good judgment, a good decision that was good nature, because it was more sincere and genuine, instead of just kill, die, conquer, colonize type mentality and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So the people of Israel, because you can look at it as, oh, like the Israelites and talking about the Jews, the real people and stuff like that, they just use that as a way of taking over based upon Abrahamic religion and father of a multitude, and them trying to justify westernizing things for the most part, if I wanted to make that mad simple. But it's really just that. So the people of Israel will be like the nation in itself, agreeing to that civilization so it can maintain its rulership, so they could go through a great era when it comes to Solomon's kingship, the solo man, the soul, your individual space. Now, Solomon is just a solo man, just like you being a spirit going around, right? So you're an individual spirit. You're an individual spirit. Now, spirituality is just the actuality of all of our different spirits together. Look at that as like collectively, or like the universe. So from you going from one space into a whole different space. So it's like a space within a space. You in a world, the physical reality and stuff like that. And there's other people with their own mind, and you got your own mind. So that's you having a solo spaceship flying around. So Solomon just represents a solo man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission, and I'm trying to get back. Yeah, man on a mission. Yeah, I'm trying to get back. Yeah, shout out, what's the nigga name? Isaiah Rashad. But it's literally just that. Yeah, you on a spiritual mission. You on man on a mission. So you on your spiritual journey or whatever, right? You're trying to have your own experiences. So from it being Solomon, it's just representing men and women. Now, men will be the thoughts and ideas. Women will be the feelings and emotions. So the Adams, the Eves, the daybreak, the twilight zone, attention span, attractiveness, direction, condensing, expansion, contraction, externalizing, internalizing, above the horizon, below the horizon, positive, negative, however you want to put it, right? All those are just men being thoughts and feelings. I mean, men being thoughts and ideas, and women being feelings and emotions of them holding on to something, and them having a pussy, having a womb, and then niggas having a dick, and they able to direct shit and not care and not hold on to something so they can create and build something else. And then that's it on a higher percentage scale. So it's talking about things of the mind. So that's why it comes off very allegorical and very metaphysical. Now, when it comes to the Book of Kings, right, y'all can look at it as like a history book all y'all want, but really it's just talking about like the king-like mentality. So from having a king-like mentality, they had emperors, they had rulers, they had governments and stuff like that. They had civilizations, and they be talking about Israel. So in that geographical location, right, in that geographical location from where that shit be coming from, which is really just some Europeans and people in Eurasia and stuff, when it comes to that king-like mentality of someone who know how to rule, look at that like the government. The government is just a governing mentality. So when it comes to like being in the esoteric realm and being in a government mentality, is just you putting yourself first. So you being early, you being first, or you putting yourself first. So you being the face, you being in the forefront, right? So you the king, you the ruler. So people gonna look for the leader. They're gonna look for the shepherd, and then you gonna lead the sheep, so to speak. You're gonna be the leader, and then you're gonna have your followers, and people gonna go based upon your way of how to be the chief, or you being the general, and what we gonna do, what direction are we gonna go in. So it's them trying to understand the king-like mentality of how to be a ruler and how to make people slaves and stuff like that, without making it negative, without trying to get too deep. But it's basically trying to make people believe in it. You trying to make people believe in what you believe in, and them buying into what you selling. So it's basically like you making people mental slaves. It's just they took it to an extreme and it turned to actual slavery. But y'all get what the fuck I'm trying to say. So it's like praising somebody or like idolizing somebody, so to speak. So based upon that ruling mentality, they trying to see how far they can go with that. Based upon like the judgment of Solomon, right? So based upon that judgment, it's just a judgment mentality. It's just the decision and the assessment, them analyzing. It's like being in a court of law, and you actually having a judge. So them making a decision, and them trying to show the law of the land. And if you did something illegal, you went against the law, even though there's no such thing as that. Is you really just going against godly laws, and then you're trying to have intellectual property, and you trying to play out godlike natures and stuff. You know what I'm saying? On an extreme level, but that's a different video. I'm not gonna go deep into that. But like in general, right, when it comes to the judgment of Solomon, they look at Solomon like a great king based upon him choosing wisdom and wholeness and peace over material possessions. So he chose wisdom over riches. So he wanted to be rich in spirit, like being in the Solomon mentality, right? Because all the men in the Bible represent thoughts and ideas. All the women in the Bible represents feelings and emotions. Being in that direction, being in that father son, right? Being in that father sky atmosphere, right? Being in that world, that's the worldview. And then you take care of the motherland based upon the atmosphere, the mother moon, the emotions and feelings. I'm gonna get into it, right? But when it comes to the mind state of being in that thought and idea, the starting point of what he was paying attention to based upon him wanting to gain more awareness. It was based upon wisdom and him wanting to be rich spiritually and mentally and emotionally, not rich material wise. You know what I'm saying? So that's why there'll be things in the Bible like what is first shall be last and what is last shall be first. So God look at things in a real unbiased type of way. In general, God look at stuff in a real unbiased type of way. So it don't matter how much you have material wise. It's all about what you're doing spiritually, the space that you in, the state of being that you in, the first intent, what you're paying attention to, and what you're doing when it comes to that on a higher percentage scale, and how far you willing to go with that. So if you're doing something that's more productive or progressive for you, that's how you're going to be able to go the distance with it. But if you're doing something that's counterproductive, you're just going to attract a lot of more negativity, or still being in the same situation, the same place, different situations. You know what I'm saying? Same shit, different toilet, so to speak. So this in general, right? So it's him settling a dispute between two women, right? Two women as in two feelings and emotions. Like they talk about this when it comes to like the Adam and Eve story, and how Eve got tempted by the snake. Look at the snake like a desire, and falling into temptation, into a desire, into a certain emotion and feeling to be in. So that's when she committed the first sin from her eating the apple. She went for that desire, that pleasure that came from the tree of knowledge, so to speak. So it's like trying to experience something and try to manifest and materialize it. And then the minute she ate the apple and got tempted by something, a desire, being contained into a shape and form, a thought, an idea, feeling, emotion, all the way up to a physical proportion, body, aka an organ, and her being an organism, and then it being a part of the external world. So it goes spirit, mind, body, external world, so to speak. But it's them talking about it in a real metaphysical type of way. So this in general, that's when all of a sudden she started caring about being naked. Look at nakedness as in being vulnerable. So you're showing your true state of being. You're showing your true space, and you not giving a fuck about how it's being seen, because you're just showing your free will and you being free spirited. But all of a sudden now you caring about how you're being seen. So that's when you got tempted and you fell into sin and you fell from grace, so to speak. So you're trying to materialize something, but the more you try to be creative and materialize and you want to make it a part of the world, you have to go through the rejection. You have to go through the vulnerability. You have to take responsibility and accountability for what you just did. That's basically what what Eve experienced the minute she got tempted into some attraction. She wanted to draw attention. She wanted to take something from the pleasure that she received. So it's not her receiving no more. It's just her receiving the short end of the stick from her trying to go for that desire and that pleasure. And in the minute you accomplish it, now you got fully fulfilled and you done drained it. And then now you unfulfilled because you done drained from the thing you just got fulfilled in before she ate the apple. And then that's it. So look at that as, oh, the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is like you trying to learn from your experiences, because knowledge is just knowledge. So it's the overall awareness. And then once you learn and go through the actual experience itself, is you gaining wisdom and you learning from your experience. So when she gained that experience of that pleasure from eating the apple, she got something that was completely, she fully fulfilled something, and then it got taken away. It got drained away. Now she don't fulfilled from it no more, because you didn't reach the maximum the full maximum capacity of everything you can experience when it comes to that thing. So now it's going to start to drain away, the same way how the moon goes through a new moon. So it's like you fulfilling a pocket, you fulfilling a seed, and then once it becomes fully illuminated, that's when a full moon happens, and that's when the most heightened emotions, the most heightened extremes happen, whether good or bad. And then once it goes through that waxing period, it's going to get drained away, and you end up basking into the fulfillment of what you just did. Is going to get drained away, and now you have to fulfill a new pocket. And then that's what happened with the Adam and Eve story and why Eve ate the apple and stuff. It's just allegorical. You see how simple that shit is, you know what I'm saying? When you don't get spooked out and stuff like that, and you start listening to a Jesuit trying to tell you that shit to make it so you can keep coming back to the Holy Church and go to the commissary and stuff like that. It's really that simple though. So when it comes to the Solomon story, that's basically what happened. That's not basically what happened, but I'm just using that as an example so y'all can get where I'm coming from, right? So when it comes to the Solomon story, it was him, it was a baby. It was a baby that died throughout the night, right? Look at the baby as like a seed, because it was two women with two children, right? Look at the child like the seed. So from it being the seed, The offspring, right, of it being child is more youthful. So that's like you being in your inner child. So it's the first seed of something, the first spark, the purity of something. That's why your childhood was way more pure compared to when you become an adult.